Good evening, and welcome to Mindset Shiftology. I am your host, Daniel Trawick, the Mindset Shiftologist. And on Mindset Shiftology, we will be talking to different people to talk about what it is that they do, the experiences they've had in the past, that help shape them into the person that they are today, and why they do the things that they do. And we all have different experiences, different ways that we're raised and brought up, and it plays a major role and has a deep impact on how we grow and the things that we do. And so Mindset Shiftology is something that I created when I started to look at myself, and I started to look at places that I was mentally more so than anything else. And there's different principles and techniques that I implemented for myself, and the amount of growth that I have experienced since I've implemented those principles and techniques have put me at a place that I couldn't even imagine being at a few years, shifting their mindset into a more wealthy mentality as opposed to the traditional poverty-stricken mindset that a lot of people in my community have. So that is what Mindset Shiftology is all about. And today I am in the process of celebrating my 2-year anniversary, Yes. May 1st, 2015 was my last official day of working for the man. And it's been a major blessing in disguise. It hasn't been easy, but I can definitely say that I'm okay with that. I'm okay with difficult. I'm okay with extra. I'm okay with all of that because easy just isn't for me. I never have been the type to like things that come easy to me. I always wanted to work for something that gave me more of a sense of accomplishment when I reached a goal that it was. I'm going to share with you a little bit about my story and things that I've experienced, things that I've watched, things that I've witnessed in my lifetime to help lead me to where I am today, being an entrepreneur, not feeling comfortable in the traditional work environment. So, I grew up in a household. I grew up watching my father, literally be an entrepreneur my whole entire life. I've never seen my father work a traditional job, so I've always seen it. That was always something that was engraved into my mind of getting up every day and doing what you do and not really having nobody to answer to besides your clients, which you work for, but it's not the sense of having a traditional job. So my father would get up and he was a do-it-all handyman type guy, so he did landscaping, he did a little bit of everything, and landscaping was one of the main things that I really remember him doing. I know he painted, he did handyman work, fixed things, all of that, but landscaping was what I remembered the most because even as a young child, I would go to work with my father and I would see what he did. And landscaping, to those who don't know, that's a lot, y'all. It's a lot that goes into that. It's very what's the word? It's very I don't know. It's a lot on the body, and getting up on a consistent basis every single day, and getting up and mowing lawns, cutting shrubs, cutting bushes, cutting trees, doing all of that. And then you have the aspect of planning things and doing all of that. It's a lot that goes into it. And so that's what I grew up watching my dad do. And so I always had a sense of, okay, so I do something that I'm good at, or I do something that I love. I didn't know exactly what it was with my father, if he just loved it or if it was just something he was good at. But either way, for me, that's what I saw. And so for me, it was, you know what, let me look at that in that way. You know, it was either something that he loved doing or something that he was just good at doing, and he went out every day and got paid. And now I don't know exactly how much my father got paid, but you know, as a child, when you ask for stuff and your parents pull out money and you getting things that you want, you think your parents are rich. My dad was rich, y'all. I'd be like, yo, Dad, can I get 50 cents? He'll give me like $5. I'm like, I asked for 50 cents. All I needed was 50 cents. I just wanted to go play the game at the arcade on the corner, yeah. But that was what I grew up seeing. And so for me, it was like, okay, well, I like this. I really like this. He don't work at a traditional job, and he always got money. Always got hundreds. I'm like, yeah, I like that. I like that life. You know, your kid asks for 50 cents or $1, you giving them $5 and $10. Like, so what? Everything I asked for, you multiply it by 10? Yo, he balling. I like that. I want to do that. And so, even still as a child, seeing that on a consistent basis, but then being in the school system and being trained in a completely different way. You know, school trained you to be a worker. Plain and simple. You know, you go to school and you hear it. And that's what I heard all the time from my mother, who, you know, at that point in time, she had a job. She's been in management since I can remember. So, you know, having that mentality of, okay, you go to school, you finish up high school, you go to college, you get a degree, you get a good job, you work that job, and you try to stay there at that one job. You try to stay at that one job until you retire. You know, it looks better for you. And then you retire, and then you get your Social Security, pension, whatever it is, based on the field of work that you're doing, and you're set. And it's like, oh, cool. So I get go to school. I like school, so that wasn't an issue for me. I love school, actually. You know, I was always somebody who really had a good go with school. With school, a lot of things came easy, and you know, I talk about me not liking things that come easy. So as I started to get older, I had to make it more difficult on myself. But school was always something that came easy to me, and so, you know, I love school. I'm like, okay, I could do school. School is no issue. So I do school, and then I get a good job. All right, cool. I could do that. And you know, everything that I was learning in school was basically training me to do that. And so, you know, even though I saw my dad do what he do, you know, it never really dawned on me that that's what I wanted to do, because I was being trained each and every day to go to school, get a good job, stay there forever, and then retire. I started to notice my mom, you know, do things in a different way. And, you know, at that point in time, she was selling Avon. And I didn't know that was an entrepreneurial venture. I didn't think about it at all. It was just, yeah, my mom sells Avon. Okay, cool. And my mother was always in management, like I said, and she was a great sales person. So, you know, her selling Avon, she used to sell so much Avon, y'all. Like, so much Avon. And for me, I'm like, yo, she good at this. Like, I'm sure she making a lot of money, but I didn't know. Because, you know, my dad, on one hand, you know, he had the money, and whatever I asked for, I was spoiled, y'all. It's okay. I was super spoiled. So whatever I asked for from my dad, I got it. But my mom, on the other hand, whatever I asked for, she never had the money. That's what she used to say. And I ain't believe it. Like, come on, we rich. How you ain't got no money? I know you rich. Get out of here. So that's what I thought. That's what I believed. And So when she was selling Avon, I'm like, yo, you got your job and you selling Avon? Oh, come on, Mom. I know you got money. But, yeah, so then I realized that as great as she was in that entrepreneurial venture of selling Avon, she was equally as bad, because I think she probably spent more money on Avon than she was actually making. And because of the amount of stuff that she was selling on a weekly basis, I know she was making a lot of good money doing it. But the amount of stuff that used to come in the house that she bought was like, yo, that's a lot of stuff. And so, I started to see entrepreneurship in a different light, even though I didn't know what it was. I didn't ever hear anybody say the word entrepreneurship or entrepreneur. I didn't know anything about it. And even with my mom selling Avon, I didn't know that she was an entrepreneur. I didn't know that that's what that was. And so, I got to witness, two different realms of it, from my father doing what he was doing and seemingly being rich to me, to my mother, doing what she was doing, but probably spending more than she was making. And that comes with financial literacy and education on money, which a lot of us do not have in the community, which is a major part of our growth. If we plan to get to the next level as a community, as a person, as a people, understanding and using proper, positive, healthy money habits will make a large difference in us rebuilding our community and putting things back the way we believe they should be. And so a lot of us just don't have any kind of sense of how to handle money, how to spend it, how to save it, how to invest it. None of that. We're not wise with money at all. And so, I saw both spectrums of that, and it played a major impact on my life and in my role. And so, as I started to grow and got older, and I'm getting to that place where, I'm about to get out of high school, and I was somewhat like my mom in a sense, I could sell anything to anybody. And so my first job, I was working at Regal Cinemas over in Burlington, New Jersey. And I started off, I think, as an usher, and then I did concessions, and then I was just doing everything. And I was just good at what I did because I just loved interacting with people. So it wasn't that big of a deal. A lot of people just don't like people, but I love people. So I loved interacting with people and talking to people. And when I was in concessions, y'all, I was the upsell king. You come in there wanting the small, you was leaving with a medium or a large. I wasn't playing. That was just me. I would talk you into it, even though